Hello, everyone. I'm Jesus, and welcome to the next episode of The Road to Old School MTG. In this episode, I'll be continuing the series on Premodern. We'll be looking at a new Premodern deck, two versions of a new deck, a more affordable version and a more expensive version, and then just seeing how the deck works, that particular deck works, and maybe seeing if it interests me to perhaps create it and play with it once I officially join Premodern. The two previous decks I had looked at in this series for Premodern were Stasis deck and Goblins deck. I'm looking basically at the tier 1 decks to first of all study, because I come from old school. I'm approaching 1 year of entering old school, 1994 old school specifically. From there, I branched to Alice, which is Ice Age Alliances. Now I'm going into Premodern, and the Premodern does have the Alice cards in them, but also a whole bunch of other sets. So I have to, just like I did it with 1994 old school, before I made the commitment to buy cards, I wanted to research things. So that's what I'm doing now. I researched those two prior decks, and now I'm going today looking at Elves deck. So I'm going to use the website mtgdecks.net. So let me share that screen now. So I looked at the Premodern section and clicked on the Elves decks. So first of all, other than this deck over here, which may top $8, $370, all the other ones are like $3,600 is the cheapest. It's mostly like high 5,000s, almost $6,000. But even if you go with this version, I'll show you. I'll just taking a little peek ahead and just seeing there are alternatives, right? So this really big price is deceptive, but nonetheless, it will be high, but not as this high. Definitely, we can cut this by a lot. Okay, so first of all, the more cheaper version. Let's take a look at that one. So this one made top 8 apparently. And I have the TCG Player website here just to confirm, right? Because a lot of these prices can work, are accurate, but there can be a little discrepancy here and there. So, so I wanted to double check that, and usually just double check the more expensive ones. So one Deranged Hermit here. So this particular one that has only one of this card, $42.99. Let me see. So the Urza's Legacy version says as low as 25. Let's see. All right. So if you're going for near mint, it's in the 40, 41 range, 42, which is what. So this price that you were seeing here, $42.99, that was basically for the near mint one. If you're looking now to drop in price a bit, like played, it'll knock $5 out. And depend, right? Some of them are pretty close to near mint prices. If you go even a step lower, moderately play, let's take a look at that. All right, now you'll see a big change, right? So if you don't care too much about the condition, moderately played looks perfectly fine. I think if you go below this, that's when you'll see more of a difference. But I think moderately played, most people will, hardly notice, especially once it's sleeved. So if you want to cut a little price on this so far, like it said, like it was in the 370, I believe $370. With this, you can knock almost $20 off, right? So for that one card, everything else is cheap enough. Priest of Titania, that card is maybe a little bit. Let's check it out. The nice thing about Premodern is it allows for any of that particular card, any reprint. So it originally came out, seems in Ursa Saga. So this is the price you're seeing, 740, which matches the one on the mtgdecks.net website. But it's been reprinted, so you can get other versions. But in this one, it wouldn't really make much of a difference. Seems like they're all similarly priced. Even the gold border one is maybe a couple bucks off. But it seems like that's, other than a couple dollars here and there, that seems okay. So Winter Orb is $12.99. So I'm wondering which version they're looking at. So remember, Winter Orb is allowed in any format from any version, right? So you can get a revised one over here, right? So I have them already in revised, I believe. May revise in 4th, but I have 4 of them. So I wouldn't necessarily buy them. Well, I wouldn't. But just mentioning that there are options. So this one was quoting as $13. So I guess this is this version here. So seems like that's what they go for. I'm sure if you, once again, go into light play and modern replay, you can knock off a couple bucks. But you can also go into these other versions as well, which seem to be cheaper. Right, but seems like it's fine enough, similar enough price. Tangle Wire, let's take a look at that one. So here was $16 and it required 4 of them. So originally in Nemesis 16, it was reprinted on the vault. There is a gold border one. So the story with these gold border cards is technically they are not, like it says, not tournament legal. So the prices that you see quoted here do not include this, right? So here the Tangle Wire at $16 is quoting either one of these two. But that's a third of the price here. And if you for online play, things like that, the gold cards are perfectly fine. So near mint, you're looking at $5. For the most part, like some of them jump. Okay, I don't know about that. But basically $4 to $5 near mint light play. In light play, you can even get it for like $3. Right, so that's a big difference, right? Especially if you're looking at 4 of them. For 4 of them here, if you get the light board, the gold border ones, and maybe light play, modern play, you can probably get all 4 for price of 1, right? So that cuts into the price right there. So everything else, ooh, here's another one. Windswept Heath. The good thing about these lands from Premodern is that it'll be a worthwhile investment because a lot of these decks that are high tier will be using a lot of these same lands. So and they usually require 4 of them, right? So because if the card was good and it's expensive because it's good, right? Then you probably want 4 of them. So here in the version here, it was quoting us $33 per, so that's over 100 if you wanted 4 of them. That's most likely this one right here. The original Onslaught here's quoting 42.60, right? So maybe it's not quoting that one, then it must be quoting a different one. 33, probably this one here, the more slightly cheaper, well, not slightly, quite a bit cheaper Syndicate Risings, because like as I mentioned, you can get any of these versions, right? But actually I don't think I finished the giving out the information about the gold border, right? So once again, it's not tournament legal. What does that mean? So in official Wizards of the Coast sponsored play, these wouldn't be legal, right? So if you went to an in-person tournament, maybe even online, I don't know. But I don't know if they have them, but in person, your deck wouldn't qualify because you have these cards. You would have to then replace them with something else. But a lot of these old school formats are basically fan made, and so there's no Wizards of the Coast giving out any arbitrary rules and whatnot. So this is the same example as Collector's Edition, International Editions, which have those cards for old school decks. They're also not tournament legal, but I play with them all the time in all my online decks. Even I've played them in person, but for that I haven't played any tournaments, just for fun. But I'm sure if I were to attend, which I do want to attend some formal tournaments now that things are picking up in real life playing, those cards will be allowed, right? Because once again, these older formats are fan made, fan promoted, and as long as you have a card made by Wizards of the Coast, it's allowable, right? Of course, as long as you also follow the other rules. For 1994 old school, you have to follow the same art, same border rules, right? So that one you can't just get any, like Winter Orb. You have to get only the ones that look like the original Winter Orb with the same polar bear art and brown borders. But Premodern doesn't have that rule, right? It's specifically because they want to make the game more accessible. So you can go from this over $100 a card to this $18, $15 big difference, right? Especially if you want to get 4 of them, right? So it seems like it was quoting 4 of these, but if you get this version, which if I were to make any of these decks that have a gold version of these cards, I would, as long as the price is not such a big, if it's not such a big difference, then I'll just get the regular version card. Because sometimes the gold border versions are not that big of a difference, right? I think we saw that with another card we just looked at. But here it makes quite a big difference, right? You can do 3-4 times less. So, oops, there's still Tango Wire. Okay. So moderately played is 16. Let's take a look at. Okay, well, yeah, 16 also. 16 for 17 for near mint. Similar price for late play, so might as well get. So seems like the $15 range for Windswept Heath is where you're looking at. If you may get, I think we saw moderately played already. Yeah, not much of a big difference actually. All right, so like around $15 seems like, give or take a couple dollars if you went with the gold bordered version, right? So that's half the price, at least that was quoted here, right? So, and if you get 4 of them, then that makes a big difference. Sideboard we're not really looking at the moment. For the most part, sideboards tend to be cheap anyway, right? So it's mainly the main deck where most of usually the big price cards are. Okay, so I mean, we got to look at all these cards, right? So the best way to look at it is to put it, build the deck, a digital version of the deck, play with it. Because like I said, most of these cards I do not know. And her else I know from Alice Lanor else I know from old school. Into Orb I know from old school, right? So some of these I do know, and some of these I just know just from from me knowing, because I still was collecting cards from some of these sets back in the day, right? So I may know them, or if I see them, I'll be refreshed. I'll be reminded of them. But definitely a big chunk of these I either never saw or like I barely saw, and so basically I just have to really learn it all over again, right? So let's create a deck on Cockatrice, and there's other programs, right? So this is just the one I like to use. Well, I'm already in the deck editor. So just go in here, Color of the Claw. So it's just asking for one of that card. One deranged hermit. Two well-wisher. Oops. Two elvish vanguard. Multani's acolyte. 3. Wirewood Symbiote. 3. Timberwatch Elf. 3. Birch Lower Rangers. 3. Three Llanowar Elves. Oops. Pinehorn Elves. 4 Quirion Ranger. 4 Priest of Titania. So the Elves deck is basically a Winnie deck. 2 Mishra's Helix. Oops. Many. 2. 3 Winter Orb. So for me personally, as I mentioned, the price, I would look any of these pricier cards like the Range Hermit. I think there was no gold version for this one, right? But the lands, they usually have a gold version, and that's usually where a big chunk of the money goes to. So finding gold versions of these cards would drop the price, but then for this particular deck, right, I already have the Winter Orbs. Those elves here are cheap already anyway, but I wouldn't have to buy any Winter Orbs. I already have them. So if you're starting from scratch, that's how you can drop some of them. Projected price, of course, get more used versions, light play, moderate play, but also gold bordered cards whenever possible. So let's see, Tangle Wire. Did I get Winter Orb? 4 Tangle Wire. One, two, three, 4. Biorhythm 3. Living Wish 3. Four Windswift Heath. 9 Forest. 9 Forest. So 13 lands. Am I seeing this correctly? Yeah, 60 card deck. So Elves, Premodern. Putting a title to this. Let's be modern, save. All right. So interesting. 13 land deck. That is. So I'm very curious to see how this deck actually functions. So here I go to start local game. And I'm going to load this. So I'm going to look for Elves Premodern. So then it gives you here a rundown of all the cards. So let me take this opportunity to look up these cards before I actually hit play. So Mishra's Helix, 5 mana, tap X lands. So I guess you tap out the opponent. So that's probably once you're winning, you're winning the board, and then you just. So I see that along with the Winter Orbs. So that's pretty handy because the Winter Orbs makes it so that lands don't untap. So if you tap them, your opponents, only one untaps a turn, right? So after a while, they'll have no lands available after a short while. And I guess we have enough other methods of making mana that, well, we have to because there's only 13 lands, right? So I think that seems like that's where this deck is heading with its game plan. Okay, this one is fading. Can I make this bigger? Okay. Fading 4. I think fading, once you remove the last fading counter, it dies. So at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player taps an untapped artifact, creature, or land he or she controls for each fade counter on Tangle Wire. All right. So I know Elves. I've seen Elves decks. The ones I've seen are just flat out Elves, and then ways to pump them and just sheer attack. I haven't really seen any with so many resources, so many card slots devoted to land disruption. But of course, that may be because this version is purposely trying to avoid the expensive cards, right? So most likely that's the reason why. Right, because that's like 3, 9, all the artifacts is strictly just for that particular goal of disrupting the opponent's game plan by tapping their, keeping their lands tapped and so forth, right? So Tangle Wire is also another thing that taps things. Then Winter Orb will keep them tapped and so forth. All right, so this is Birch Rangers, and then for some reason I got I think this was the Birchwood Rangers, right? Or Birch Lore, whatever it's called. Let's see. Yep, there it is. Well, I guess I'll look it up over here. Birch. So 1 green, tap 2 untap elves you control, add 1 mana of any colors to your mana pool. And then you can morph it to a 2/2 creature. All right, so that's most likely the morph doesn't come into play almost ever. Just the main ability, right? So this makes any elf be able to produce mana, not just find her land anywhere else, because you got other elves as well. All right, so I guess may I just look at it over here. Although I prefer this format, right? Just seems more neater. All right, so color. So same thing again. It's in a foreign language in the other version. All right, so gotta see if I learn how to change which version card you can put into this Cockatrice, right? Because so far, whatever shows me, I just click on. Usually it doesn't have so many options. All right, Call of the Claw, 3/2/2 elf, flash. When Call of the Claw enters the battlefield, put a 2/2 green bear creature token onto the battlefield for each non-token creature put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. All right, so it's kind of an odd inclusion. I think it must be that card is trying to protect against board wipes, right? So because I'm sure this deck, it wins through sheer numbers, just like the Goblins deck, right? But a board wipe could totally destroy the game for you. Wrath of God, stuff like that. So this, I'm sure this is here to mitigate that. The goblins one, what they do is there's a lot of cards that let you draw or find another goblin card or draw cards until you get red. So there's more just inherent a draw engine in the goblins deck. So even with board wipes, you already drew those cards. So you got another wave already that's going to happen right after the board wipe, right? So it self-replenishes. The elves seems like they don't have that option. So this is a nice card. So I'm assuming that's the reason why it's there. Makes sense. Okay, so let me see that Deranged Hermit. All right, not for all of these. It was just too small. 5 mana, Echo at the beginning. Okay, you gotta pay that upkeep twice, I believe. The Deranged Hermit enters the battlefield. Put 4 1/1 green squirrel tokens onto the battlefield. Squirrel creatures get +1/+1. All right, so I guess another one of those, just either to protect against board wipe or just put the game out of reach. Or if you just had a slow start with just one card, boom, instant army. So it seems like they go hand in hand with Call of the Claw. Elvish Vanguard, let's take a look at that one. So another elf comes into play, okay, so definitely this one makes sense. The more elves you play, this pumps itself up higher and higher, just 2 of them. Then some mana producing elves, Voltani's Acolytes. So it's enough as well, 2 mana. Okay, so that's nice. So this one does have a draw effect on it. It's nothing special about this card. In fact, it's not particularly good. 2 green you got for a 2/1, that's not very good at all. Plus, doing your next upkeep after this permanent comes in your control, pays casting cost. Oh, so basically you got to pay 4 mana between 2 turns, or else it dies. But you draw a card. But with maybe Call of the Claw, you don't care that it dies anyway, because that'll give you creatures for anything that died in that particular turn, right? So I can see why it's there. But definitely compared to red, green has more limited draw engines. So that's why in red, this card wouldn't be good enough for inclusion. But in green, it seems like it is. So Priest of Titania, let me look at that card. And like I mentioned, right? So in case this video seems long, like I'm entering this format, right? So these videos for Premodern is for those looking to, as I'm learning, to learn along with me. A lot of these cards, a lot of these decks. So I'm learning about these cards right now live, right? So bear with me. 2 mana, elf, add to your mana pool for each elf in play. So all right, so this one is pretty strong. And that's a pretty, oh no, I was going to say pretty cheap card. It's not $8 each, but I can see why. All right, Quirion Ranger. That one has 4 of as well. Return reference you control to owner's hand. Untap target creature. Use this ability only once each turn. So that's pretty strong, because with the Priest of Titania, you can tap your land force to cast whatever. Tap this to cast whatever. Then you bring the land back up to your hand to untap it, cast more stuff, and then you bring that land the second time to tap it for more mana, right? So I see why there's only 13 lands here. But still, that's pretty low. But I guess, between all these are basically Land of Elves, Fine Elves, Priest of Titania, they're basically they're quasi-land creatures, right? Their main function is not as creatures, but as mana producers. And with 4, 7, 9, for a big chunk of these, you just need 1 green, and then having 1 in play, 1 green to cast one of these elves will then give you more mana to cast other stuff, even if you never get a second land, or even you only get 2 lands the whole game. most likely that seems like enough ramp between all the other elves that produce mana in one way or another. So I see. All right, so for those, Timber Watch Elf, 3 of them. Tap, target creature gets plus, where it's just the number of elves in play. All right, I can see why. Is there Well-Wisher? So let's look at that. See, look at this small section for artifact, this small section for sorceries. There's not even any instance. 32 creatures, right? So past, like I mentioned, almost half of these creatures are basically quasi lands, right? So that's why the land count is so small, because really the land count went into the creature section. All right, so what card was I looking at? Well-Wisher. Where is it? Oh, there we go. 2, you gain 1 life for each elf on the battlefield. Okay. A little defensive, but I can see why it's there. Wirewood Symbiote. Return an elf you control to his owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate this ability only once each turn. So that's basically untap, return an elf you control. Untap target. So similar to the Quirion Ranger. Maybe not as good, but I guess actually it could be. Because you can bring, which one is it? The Moltani's Acolyte. And then during your upkeep, you can just bring him up again before you have to pay the echo cost. So I can see, all right, that's a good combo going on there. And okay. Ooh, you can bring back the Range Hermit, cast him again, get more tokens. Once again, instead of paying his echo cost, just bring it up again, right? Because you don't want to pay 10 mana to keep him alive if you don't need to. And then you untap the Priest of Titania, right? Or maybe, right? We'll see. Because actually, now that I think about it, untap target creature, right? You couldn't really do it during the upkeep because you can't cast anything during the upkeep, right? So, but it's, it's still handy to bring it up during your upkeep, right? You're just not gonna, you can't really untap the, let's say, Priest of Titania with it. Maybe you can do some other things that I gotta just look or, I guess you can do. Yeah, well, we'll see, right? Once I'm actually running the deck through Cockatrice, I'm sure I'll see how these cards interact better. Right, but that one seems a little bit more limited. But I can still see why it's included. Lands here, these produce green white. So let's look at the sorcery. I kind of remember Living Wish. Use a creature or land card you own from outside the game, reveal that card and put it into your hand, remove Living Wish. Oh, but it's from outside the game. I thought it was within your deck. So I guess that's why most of the, well, I mean, not most. Well, actually, yeah, I guess most of the sideboard is creatures. So the Living Wish, I'm sure you'll be able to get different things. All right, so then when I get Living Wish, I guess that's interesting. I'm not sure how to get something from Cockatrice, something from outside the game using it. Well, I mean, if I get it, I'll basically make pretend it's one of these cards, right? Just for the sakes of playtesting. All right, Biorhythm, 8 mana. Each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. That's interesting. And it's such a high casting cost. Spell, 8 mana. And so I'm sure you have a lot of creatures, right? But really, seems like it's kind of okay at making life for itself anyway. I guess you'd like destroy their creatures, number of creatures, right? So if you kind of keep the land count low because you're tapping their lands, winter orbing their lands, they don't have the mana to produce creatures, and then you cast Biorhythm. If they only have one creature in play, they got 1 life left. right? If you had 8 creatures, so you might be cutting down your life as well. But they have 1 creature, you had 8, you attack, they're at 1 life, you win, right? So okay, seems like plus there's other ways for you to gain life, right? So more easily than the opponent probably. All right, so it seems like I'm kind of caught up on it. So let's actually start playing. But I'm going to reference the sideboard like I was mentioning. So for this deck, I guess you do have to consider the sideboard by default. All right, so here, probably the Land Elves. Let's see. Yeah, because this will return. Untap an elf. Yeah, definitely. I don't want that one as. So I'm always assuming I go first, right? Because especially with these decks. For the Stasis one, actually even the Stasis one, I would also go first because you want to cast that Root Maze early. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, so that was the first turn. Next turn I draw. No lands, but that's perfectly fine. I'm going to cast this. I tap this to cast, let's see, I could already do Living Wish I can do. I guess I'll do another Land Elf. So I'll bring this up to untap my elf, if I'm not mistaken. Untap target creature, yep. I can untap this one because I just brought it into play. It's not going to make mana. Tap it again. And I did bring a land out, so now I can bring this land out again. So I got 2 mana. I can do the Living Wish, or I can bring out the Quirion Ranger. Okay, let me reference the. So I could return you can do so I can get a Wirewood Symbiote. Well, or something. Yeah, I can get any of these actually, I guess. What can get that? I really wouldn't call. I guess this is. What is Living Wishes? Oh, sorcerer. So I couldn't do it in response to my opponent casting a board wipe because usually board wipes are sorceries. So Color the Claw is not particularly good. Masticore might be good. So here you can get this one, start drawing some cards. Okay, I'll get the Multani's Acolyte. So 1 mana, Living Wish. So I'm just going to put it back in my hand, but it's the Acolyte. Next turn. Ooh, I got another force, right? So I'll play that. So Quirion Ranger, if I use the ability, I can put another land out. Same turn. All right, but I got the Acolyte. Let's see. Let's tap these for the Acolyte. So when it comes into play, I draw a card. All right, can't play the forest yet. 2, I got 2 mana here. So I already got the Acolyte. I drew the card. 1, 2. Then I use the Quirion Ranger to untap, tap 3. Timberwatch Elf. So when he taps, he'll give +5/+5, where X is the number of elves in play, right? So that's an elf. They're all elves. All right, next turn untap. I can pay the upkeep. Maybe it's better if I pay the upkeep through the elves for that, right? And maybe it's okay to let it die. We'll see. All right, another forest. Let's see if I'm close to casting this. 8 mana, we need 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only untap 1, 5. But I got another Quirion Ranger. 6. This doesn't make mana. This doesn't make mana. But between these two, yeah. All right, so I tap these two for the Timberwatch. I mean, for the Symbiote. I believe that's what it's called. Oh, the Acolyte. So I already used 2 mana. Oh, but these two just cost 2 anyway. 1, 2, another elf, another Quirion Ranger. I don't have enough of that yet. Untap, draw. I can cast this. Pretty sure. 1, 2, 3. I already drop a Lando. 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 Queen Rangers, 7, 8, untap him, and tap him, 8. So opponent, let's say opponent had 3 creatures. He's at 3 life. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at 7 life. So I then, let's say I attack with these 3. And then this one I hold back. Or maybe, depends, right? Depends on what the opponent has. It may be just best to just only send 1 attacker. And then this one will pump it up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, +7, +7. Right? I think that game went fine. But yeah, I'm liking it. But there was no mana disruption there. I just didn't draw any of these cards. Let's see if I draw them in the second game. But that first game I liked. Ooh, I got 1 artifact. 5, 6, 7. All right. Really, you just need 1 land for this. So I had three lands in that previous game. The most lands I had was that 3 lands at a time. I still was able to produce 8 mana for the biorhythm. All right, first turn. What does this guy? Okay, whenever elves come into play, Queen and Ranger. Yeah, this elf, Llanowar elf is the best way to go. Okay, I didn't return now if you control to his owner's self, untap target creature. Ooh, that's a good combo with this, right? So I cast this. I can bring elves into play. Back to my hand. The 1 mana ones are easy to recast, especially since I bring them back, I get mana out of it usually. But it costs 2 mana, so I couldn't do it this first turn. Maybe this turn is better to just drop more stuff. You control this on our hand, untap target creature. We'll see. Actually, let's see. I'm curious about this guy. All right, second turn, just cast them. Hopefully it's a rise. Probably not in a real situation. He will probably be something you destroy very quickly. Honestly, the Alana will also be something you destroy very quickly. All right, but let's say it passes on. So I didn't draw a land, but I think that'll be fine. Tap, tap. Oh, let's do it 1 at a time. All right, so I got a counter. So whenever another elf comes into play, put a plus 1. Okay, so 1 came into play. I can return the forest. I'm double checking. The good thing about Cockatrice, it gives you a play-by-play. So I forgot, I was like, did I play a land this turn? Draws a card, puts 1 forest. Yep, so I did play a land because I'm going to bring a land for the Queen and Ranger soon. But I couldn't bring another land out. I already did bring a land. All right. But I guess that's why it's good to only have such few lands, because these same lands, I'm going to keep bringing them up into my hand and replaying them, right? So I don't need to have, in fact, it would be usually not so good to have 4 or 5 lands, because probably a good 2 or at least 2 will be continuously in your hand only, as opposed to being other kind of cards. All right, so 1 elf is a 2/2 now. Let's see how big I can get it before I can attack. So this will be turn 3. So let's see how big this guy can get by turn 3. So it's 2/2 so far. That costs too much. I can really only bring this guy out. Let me tap this. Okay, he's out. Add another counter. Return an elf you control to owner's hand, untap target creature. So first I'll bring this to untap a creature with the Queen and Ranger. I think. I don't know if that made any difference at all. Actually, I don't think it did. Return of your control, play this ability only once each turn. Untap target creature. I guess it didn't matter, but I guess it does. Let's see. May I do something else? Right? Like I said, I'm learning along with the with the just the different combos that this deck can have as I'm studying it here in this video. Man, it's kind of like a puzzle. Got to make sure I put it the right cards in the right order here. I guess it's not much to do here. I can only bring one up. And the Queen Range is the best one. So it was already tapped, so I don't have to bring that land up. And I probably wouldn't. Maybe I get a land next turn and I want to drop it. So I'll just bring this one up. So he untaps, which I can then cast this guy again. So he became a 4/4 by turn 3. Maybe the opponent. So if there's nothing else that's big, maybe the opponent only has like small creatures, right? But that's my turn 3. Maybe he's still in turn 2, right? So I'll attack. It's a 4/4. That's pretty decent. Probably would do some damage there. All right, next turn. So, okay, Living Wish, I can get something from out there. I'm checking. All right, let's look at the range hermit. Echo comes into play, put 4 green squirrels. So it's not elves, although the hermit is an elf. Put 4, all squirrels get 1/1/1/1. So can I have 5 mana? 1, 2, 3. This ability I can do twice because I can bring it, do it once, bring her back with this one, untap it, cast it again. But I gotta spend a mana to cast it though. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, but I didn't bring a land this turn. Ah, okay. So 1, 2. Return a force. Well, 3 mana. I use the Queen Range ability. Return that. 4. I drop that force again. That's 5 mana. And I haven't even used this ability yet. So what did I do again? Let's see. So I tap 1, 2, 3. I return that to untap. 4. I drop the land. Okay, 5 mana. But I didn't bring any elves in and out, right? Because I'm also double checking if he comes up. So I have 5 mana. I definitely can cast the hermit. Just seeing if I can do anything with the clearing ranger, bring it in and out, bump it up more before the hermit, which I think it can. So return of, well, the symbiote. Untap target creature. Okay. So I have 5. I'll return this. That's 6 mana. That's just so I can cast this again. He got another token. I still have 5 mana. So with that 5 mana, I cast the range hermits. So it once goes up again. So next turn, I'm going to bring up the range hermit again with the symbiote before the echo. And I got 4 1/1 squirrels. Well, they're 2/2 while the range hermit is in play. But I can't attack with them. But I got a 6/6 now. I'll attack with that. All right, so it's looking good. Next turn on tap. Upkeep. At the beginning of your next upkeep. So I'll use the return of 4. I use the symbiote ability to bring it up to my hand. I have nothing to untap. I cannot. But I guess if I had the Helix out, I could. Oh, so I guess I see now. That's why the Mishra's Helix is there. During the upkeep, I can tap that this creature. Let's see, which one was it? The Titanius. Yeah. Tap for green for per elf in play. If I had that and the Helix out, I could use the symbiote ability to during the upkeep. Or seems like. Wait. Yeah. So I could bring up. So let's say I had the Titania card, and I also had the Deranged Hermit. I bring up the Deranged Hermit. to untap the Titania, but then I tap the Titania during the upkeep, use the Mishra's Helix to do stuff, assuming I have the Winter Orb out, that's still helpful for me. So that way I got some bang out of the symbiote ability. I did two positive things, right? The symbiote is supposed to be a negative or a positive, right? You bring a card into your hand, back to your hand, that's a negative because now you got to cast it all over again. But you get a positive ability, you untap something supposedly to do some kind of thing, right? All right. But if I had those cards out in play, then that would have been a positive. I see that. Okay. In this case, I only wanted to bring up the deranged hermit back. So my 4 1/1s are squirrels are 1/1, but I'm going to cast it again anyway. So let's see, untap, untap, untap. I did not draw. Okay, nice. So drop a land. 3, let's see. Ooh, maybe now's the time because I got 4 1/1s. I can attack and then here. But may just bring out the deranged hermit and then next turn fire with him. That could be good too. So I got 3. So let's see. Let's start casting stuff. 3, 4. So I already used the symbiote ability. You can only use it once per turn. So I'll use the Green Ranger ability. I can play a land again though. I already played it. So that's already 5 mana. I'm just seeing if I can do any kinds of other shenanigans. No, I think I already did the most I can. So gets another counter. So 7/7. But now I have 8 squirrel tokens, and they're all 2/2s. Plus 4 of them can attack. So now let's say I attack with, he's a 7/7, and attack with 4 2/2 chump attackers. That's pretty good. All right, so far I really like this deck, and honestly I haven't even gotten into this thing. I can see why this is not even included in other decks, right? Because this is just in that is so efficient. I definitely like this more than the Goblin one. So okay, I'm gonna play only one more game, see if the Mishra's Helix, that that artifact thing can come about in this third game. But I definitely understand it. Okay, this time I got 2 Winter Orbs, right? So that's usually not good. All right, turn 1. Tends to be the elf is the #1 thing to do. All right, turn 2. Okay, I got this. So I can, these 2, I can cast this. 2 mana, 2 mana. Can also cast that, draw a card. So if I, okay, so I can get the Green Ranger out for free. Bring it out. 1 mana. Bring this up. Untap. Bring it up. Drop a forest. Actually, I can get 3 mana out of this. But I can only cast 2 things. 2. Probably Priest of Titania, since I only have 1 land up. And I want to bring out the Winter Orb probably next turn. All right. So I'm doing all this with just one land for 3 turns. So this is really pushing how much mana production this can do. These creatures can do. So this one can already get 3 mana. 3 mana. Maybe I want to cast one of these before I do that. Yeah, let's do that. Tap, tap. And so it makes me draw a card. Okay, so that nice thing about Green Ranger is I can get those 2 mana right back. So return a forest to untap this. Wait. I'm doing the wrong thing because I should untap this one. Okay. All right, so I cast this. I drew the card. I got 4 mana with this guy. Let me cast him first. Then this, he got a counter. Right? This is the one that counts. Yeah. Not a counter. I drew him later, right? So or else maybe I would have played him first. That's 4 mana. Or so I just used it. I brought him out, and then since he came out, was forest, tabs, titania, which card? I think I already drew the card. Let's see. Draws a card. Okay, untaps, draws a card. Draws a card. I only drew one card. I need to draw another one because I casted 2 of these acolytes. All right. Ooh, nice. Another one. All right. So that was, I already used the 4 mana here. I'm going to bring this up to untap this. I'll bring the force again because I didn't bring a land up. Now this is a lot more powerful. Now I can go, what, 6 mana plus here 7. I can almost cast a biorhythm. All of this, I had like over 10 mana with all this. All right. So there's no mana burn. So I can cast whatever I want. Let's see if I can. All right, so I untap this. Yeah, I'm just seeing if I can do other things. This just gets me more. Didn't do anything else. I already used the Korean Ranger ability. Yeah, I can't, not much else to do. Has this, pump it up. And then I'll cast a Winter, or my land is already untapped, so I didn't even need to tap it. Maybe I cast 2 of them because I had 6 mana. Yeah, probably I would drop both of them. That way, the opponent has to deal with 2 of them. All right. That's a very strong turn. Next turn on tap. I didn't had any, only had 1 force on tap, so it doesn't affect me. Ooh, before I draw, my mistake. I have to, okay. I was gonna say I gotta pay the upkeep for these 2 guys, but that's easy enough. Tap this. That's 7 mana, so I easily paid for both of these. There's nothing else that I can do that needs to be addressed. So all right, so then I just drew this. I'm just casting this so that this guy pumps up. Now the Korean Ranger ability, I'll bring this up. So I can drop it again to untap this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 6, 8 mana. So boom, Byron. 3, 6, 8. So let's say the opponent had 3 creatures out, so he's, and I have 8. He's at 3 life, I'm at 8 life. Can he block all of these guys? Let's say attack. Yeah, the Multani's Acolytes 2-1. I mean, that the other ones are just 1 power, so, well, not counting this guy, right? So, all right, that's pretty good. So in this one, I had the Winter Orb aspect of it, but still I'm not tapping their lands. But I can see how it is. I can see how you can easily get a lot of mana and use the Mishra's Helix, I think it's called. All right. I really like this deck. All right. So now, okay, so using the same deck, I'm going to now change it to a more expensive version. So I'll pick something that's top, was first place. All over, I know this player, so let's click on this one. So this was like $6,000, and they're all high 5,000s anyway, right? So might as well just go for the best one, apparently. Really, the price is for Gaia's Cradle here. Each one costs $1,200. Of course, I'm sure that's near mint. That's basically as expensive as the more expensive revised dual lands, the Underground Sea, the, I believe, Volcanic Island, I think it's called, makes red and blue. Those are near mint over $1,000. So pretty impressive feat to go toe for toe with those dual lands, right? Dual lands are renowned, famous cards. But of course, Bryce, right? Not is not reaching unlimited dual land prices, at least not for the Underground Sea and those kind of cards. Definitely that'll be unlimited for the cheaper cards. All right, so I think we're seeing the same kind of stuff. Well Wisher. Oh, this one has a Massacre in it. Squee. Ooh, interesting. This one actually has quite a bit of, so it splashes red and then has wooded foothills. So and it has more lands in it, but I guess really 13 and then the gate is Cradle. So it's still similar. Okay, so I was thinking this is just would be like a bit of a difference, but not too much. This particular one is very different. So maybe I don't go with this one. Let's see if I can get one. Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh no. Oh, my mistake. Tier 1, they all have red. I was thinking, okay, maybe this particular version has splashes red, but maybe I can find a completely mono green version. But the answer is no. At least for that, this is not the highest tier. They all splash red and it must be for these cards. All right, so I think I'll just make a brand new deck. The getter, save deck, the getter, new deck. Yeah, might as well Well Wisher. Just one. We didn't get a single one of those. So this card was in the sideboard in the other ones. This one is one main deck. Let's see if this one does it has Living Wish. No, not even. So this is more aggressive. Squee Goblin. Oops. I believe it just said one. So 1/1/1 Antuco Vigilante. Yeah, my Ranger. Kamal Fist. It's a fist. Yep, just one. Collar. One Collar of the Claw. One Anger. Ouch. There were a lot of options for that one. Okay. This one has two Deranged Hermits. Deranged Hermit. Four Fine Horns. Four Queering. Full tennis. Four more tennis. Priest of Titanium. Wirewood. Wirewood? Yep. One, two, three, four. Nowhere else. Oops. Or Tangle Wire. So 4. All right, so this one does still have the Tangle Wire, but it only has that card for disruption. The other one, in the other deck, there were 9 slots devoted to disruption. 4 Survival of the Fittest. It's an enchantment. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 mountain. Gaia's Creator. 4. For the foothills. 1, 2, 3, 4. 9 forest. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 60 card. All right, so Elves 2 Premodern. Deck editor. Save deck. All right, so this is the second version. Vastly more expensive version, right? So, but just in as a basically those red cards is the main difference, right? And then it's more aggressive because it has more creatures. It only has 4 cards devoted to land disruption. So it's more devoted to the attack. All right, so let's look at the prices here. Mastercore only one of so actually let's look at Mastercore. So $10 here. Remember, you can get any version of Mastercore for Premodern, especially if you not gonna play any sanctioned games, you see, because then you can get the gold border ones, just $2. Oh, look, oh, that's something else. So $9. What is? Oh, that's a different Mastercore, so be careful. There's gotta get. Yep, Mastercore. Yep. Okay, the gold border ones for like $2. All right, so that's you can save some money there, but I guess it's just a couple dollars. You can just get the real one. Come out. The Arrange Charmer, who already saw the price of that one. Yeah, most of these cards are the same. So let's see. Squee, what does this guy do? 3, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee from your graveyard to your hand. Why is that important? Anger. So they must, I know anger does stuff from your graveyard. As long as anger is in your graveyard and you control a mountain, creatures you control have haste. Okay, so that's important. Haste. So and you control a mountain. So really you just need that one mountain that's in the deck. You can use the Wood of Foothills to search for it. Gives you that mountain. You just need one. And you just need one anger, right? So and the anger is more of a there's not a crucial component of the deck, right? It's very helpful, but I guess if it was more crucial, they would have devoted more anger cards. Right? So it seems like one is enough. All right. So I see what happens with that. Okay, so Kamal is also different. Target land becomes a 1/1 until end of turn is still a land. 5 mana. Creatures you control get +1 and gain trample. Okay, so probably the second ability is why it's included. But I guess, yeah, because I don't think you'll have that many lands to turn to 1/1. Well, or maybe both abilities are useful, but probably most likely the second one mainly. I still know why squeeze there. Okay, maybe it's related to the Master Core. 4 mana at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Master Core, let's use discard a card. Masticore deals 2 damage to target creature, regenerate Masticore. Okay, so I see the Masticore here. Ah, okay, okay. So you discard a card. You have to discard a card with Masticore every turn. And then, since you can generate a lot of mana, you can use that second ability to wipe the board of your opponent's board from their creatures. So your attack can go through. You can even regenerate the Masticore. So I guess at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squeak from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah. All right, so that's okay. So it's strictly only there for the combo of Squee and Masticore. At the beginning of your upkeep. At the beginning of your upkeep, right? So you get to choose what's first. So you can get Squee Goblin Nabob back to your hand, and then discard it to the Masticore. And the next turn, first you get it back, and then you discard. All right, so I see why it's there. It's strictly just for that trick. And while you don't have it, you just have to pitch other things. But it seems like Masticore, like once again, it's only a one-off, so it's more of a similar to the anger, right? It's not a crucial component, but if you get it, it's very powerful. All right, so this one's also different. When Antiquity is turn face up, destroy target artifact or enchantment. All right, so that's insect druid mutant, so it's not even an elf. So I guess that it wanted to have that ability. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Okay, I guess. All right. Granger. This one is different. The other deck didn't have it. It's only one of. Echo. When it comes into play, you may search your library for a basic land card into play. Okay. So that my Granger can help you get that mountain, and you don't really care if it dies or not next turn. But I guess you can return it like I showed with the other deck. Come on, okay, see that. And then after that, the anger, then everything else is the same. Yeah. All right, so this is what I wanted to show. These two cards, Survival of the Fittest, Gaia's Cradle. So between those two cards, that's the reason why this deck is $6,000. Just for these, according to this price, it's almost 5,000. And then here, for these, it's over 1,000. So literally for over $5,000 worth of this deck is these 8 cards. So let's see how we can drop that price tag significantly. So for Survival of the Fittest, here is estimating $280 each. That's a lot of money. So over $1,000 for 4. All right. So it was 280. Here says 270. We'll see. We're not even looking at that one. Well, we're looking at this one in comparison. So let's open this one up. The traditional one. I don't need this one anymore. All right. So the standard Survival of the Fittest moderate play, you can get it for 220s, which is, considering you're needing 4 of them, that's a big reduction in price. 250, yeah. So yeah, it's something you can get them cheaper. Here's 250, 250. So yeah. But I think, yeah, for the most part, it's in the 280 region. You know, you can save a little bit on a couple, but not all 4. So probably like maybe 260, 265, 270 on average. So that price that was quoted was decent. So that's a lot. Let's say you drop one level down. Light plate. Ooh, that's a huge difference. So 220. That's $50, $60 cheaper. Moderate plate. Ooh. Difference between moderate plate and light plate is there's barely a difference. In fact, it seems like there's no difference. So either near mint or light plate. That's what you're going for. And just that you save around like $200. But the most savings will be here. The gold border, that's a huge difference. $26 for moderately play. Let's look at the near mint. So for near mint, looking at 30, nothing more than 40 bucks. So let's say 35 on average. Considering they were here quoted at 270. So that's a huge, that's like what, 1/4, 1/5 the price. I'm going with the 35, you know, give or take, price range we're seeing here. Yeah, near mint 35, 30, yeah, 35, 30, 35 to 40 range. So really for not even the price of one of this quarter, you can get 4 of these. Right, so this price is really, as I was saying, it's if you don't mind the gold bordered, which I already explained, for the most part is fine. You know, I think that's the route to go. So it's going to be, it'll literally knock $1,000 off this price. Now let's knock several $1,000s off with the guy's cradle. Let's see. All right, this, I'm getting the board up here. So this one is still expensive no matter what. But there's a huge difference. So this is the normal one. I'm not even looking at this one. And then here, I don't need this one anymore. All right, so here we were quoted at 1,200 each. Normal, standard versus Saga. So even that, look at this one, 725 for moderate play. So if you go moderate play, you can already save what? That's almost $500. Yeah, $400 to $500 per card, just, and you still get Ursa Saga, but you get in moderate play. Let's see if even the near mint costs 1,200. Maybe that was being overblown. Yeah, they're not even. Yeah, you can. Yeah, just 4 of these. Okay, so they're like under 1,000. So 950, 975. So this price is definitely way too, like, significantly over, like over $200 more than the most near mint prices here. There's always going to be people charging more, right? But you can get them for sub $1,000 each. Of course, that's still a lot of money. So now let's drop it down by a lot. Moderately played, gold border, 200 each, right? And then you can definitely get 4 of them in the 200 give or take region. Let's look at how much it would be for near mint. Maybe it's not such a big price. Oh, whoa, near mint 220. And how was the moderate played? Yeah, you see how these prices, you have to look at all near mint, light play, moderate play. If you just you just assume, oh, guys, great, I have to get moderate play. If you assume for this one, you would have been right and you would have saved a lot of money. 400 to 500 per card, or at least according to this, right? But really 200. Oops. You're just saving 200. Go to 250. According to the prices on TCG Player, and not this estimate right here, they go for a little under 1,000 each. So looking at that difference between near mint to moderate played, that here would have provided a big difference in savings. Here it would not have. Moderate played you can get for 2. Well, here this is the outlier. You'll mainly get them in the 200 to 220 region. But if you, because remember, it took us to moderately played. It didn't take us to near mint. You say, oh, okay, well, they're going for 200. I guess that's good enough, you know. And you didn't even check like near mint. And for the same price, you can get near mint. So that's ridiculous. A lot of these people are either they're not updating their prices that's being generous, or they're just trying to, like I just explained, catch people who are unsuspecting and they're not educated enough to check this price range, the price changes. And honestly, I was one of them. It hasn't been only until like recently where I was checking this, playing around with these condition differences. But I don't think it really affected me too much because in the beginning I was going for near mint anyway, right? So I wasn't even considering anything else, right? But now that definitely I'm feeling it more in my wallet, I am considering other things. And now I'm seeing that's and for others who aren't just if you the only thing you buy is near mint, then it doesn't matter, right? You're just gonna look at near mint anyway. But if you want the best prices, you have to look and you're okay from going from near mint to moderate played or whatever. You have to play around with these, just like you saw. All right, so here 200, yeah, 200, let's say 210 per card. So for 4, I mean 840, not even basically the price of one moderate played. Yeah, I mean, okay, close to one moderately played Guy's Cradle. You can get all 4 near mint gold border Guy's Cradle, right? So that's $800. Let's just make it simple, 800. Here it was quoting what, 4,800. So we just cut off literally $4,000 off of that. I just cut off $1,000 off of that. That's a huge price difference. And guess what? And you still got the 4 Guy's Cradle, and you still got 4 Survival of the Fittest. Right? Still a lot of money, right? So that's still going to be 800 here, 200. This deck is definitely over $1,000. Right? But before it was almost 6,000. Now it's almost 1,000. Well, probably a little bit over 1,000, right? But either way, going from 6,000 to 1,000, that's a huge amount of difference. And you haven't changed any component here. I'll take a quick peek at the sideboard. Nothing too expensive other than this one here, but it only asks for 1 card. And then this one here, small stuff. Ooh, no rot, no rot. 2 no rots. I think I took a look at no rot before. But although this one, like I was saying, I'm not looking too much at the sideboard at the moment. But I guess this is just for curiosity's sake. Yeah. All right, 80, you can get it for 60, I guess. All right, but yeah, that price seems somewhat accurate. All right, so let's start playing. But you just saw this deck quoted as $6,000 price tag. If you don't mind the gold borders, you can get it for like $1,000. And you still get all the same exact cards that won first place, apparently. All right. So this was Elves 2 Premodern. I really like this format right here. It's supposed to just a list. You can always hover over the card and you'll get the image, right? But just seeing it all laid out here when I'm like trying to change things, I like to look at this particular format because it's easier for me to kind of like mentally take things out, move this here. Okay, I'll take one of this out. Okay, I have 4 of them. I can take one out. Oh, but then it affects this one. Okay, these two go together. I don't want to take that one out too much, right? So I really like this setup right here. All right, let us start. I really like that first deck though. Maybe we'll see. I was thinking maybe I just, because for all the other decks, the Stasis and the Goblin deck, I ended up not doing either the cheap or the expensive version. I did a hybrid for both of them anyway. So maybe this one too, right? Because this one's getting a little bit more convoluted. As splashing red is adding other things. But once again, apparently all the tier 1 Elves decks splash reds, right? So maybe, I'm the newbie here, right? So who am I to second guess other players that have been playing this forever? All right, so this first hand is horrible. Very slow. Okay, so sacrifice for Mountain Forest. Okay, so I guess I don't need it yet. I'll drop a land and a elf. All right, next turn. All right, so I need to put this into my graveyard. So a good way to do it is to cast it and just get it killed. Right, attack until the opponent blocks it, and then it kills it for you. Although, the opponent's going to know its ability, right? They're going to know what you're trying to do. So that most likely than not, if they can take the damage, they'll just let them go through, especially in the beginning. All right, so not much to do here. At the beginning of your upkeep. So this creature is horrible, right? You don't want him. I don't want to cast him at all. It's only useful in my graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may choose and discard a card from your hand. If you don't, okay, so I need to cast Mastercore because he's gonna make me discard the other. So that's why he's main deck here. I see. All right, so I cast. Okay, so next turn. Okay, so I want to do this. I'll look. View library. I'm gonna look for that one mountain. Bring into play, and it brings it into play untap. One, and it costs you 1 life, I believe. Pay 1 life. Yep. All right. So then I tap an elf, bring another elf out, and that's it, right? Because like I said, these I don't want them cast them. I want them. Okay, so this one has played really, really slow. 3, 4, Massacre. I can't even discard them now. I gotta wait until the next turn through my upkeep. All right, so this game went horrible. Concede. But then I got a lot of those 1 card offs, very early on. So I think normally you wouldn't do that. Okay, so this looks like more of what you should be getting, although I just got a horrible no mana hand. But that should be more of what I get. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's weird. This deck has quite a bit more lands than the other. Yeah, but that's one of the things with Cockatrice I noticed, right? So it is a very important tool. But in real life, the randomization in Cockatrice is truly, truly random, meaning what you get is very, very different than in normal gameplay. In normal gameplay, you can shuffle it as many times as this program can shuffle itself, right? Because it can do it every time it shuffles, like it's shuffled it basically 100 times, right? Within you clicking it once. So you're gonna get clumps in real life Magic that you wouldn't get in here, right? Or maybe here they're less likely or more likely, right? It's just it gives you a strong idea of the deck, definitely. But I have noticed there's a difference, right? So this is a tool, right? But it's not the end all be all. All right, so this hand looks more of what I want. Okay, untap, draw. So I want to cast the Titania. So second turn, elf, priest. Hopefully they live. Third turn. Okay, so now I can cast a lot of stuff. I can definitely cast the Master Core then. Okay, so check this out. Boom. So I got 4 mana. Masticore. So I can untap it and bring this out, right? But there's really nothing else. Oh, actually, deals 1 damage to target creature. Ooh, that's handy. I just noticed that. So I'm like, okay, what do I do with all this mana? I don't want to cast Color of the Claw. All right. So I could bring up Wooded Foothills. All right, so I'm going to do the ability, return a forest. Oh, it has to be a forest. Okay, return a forest on type of creature. All right. But I could, I guess it doesn't matter. I'll play Wooded Foothills. Did I play a land already? Oh, let me see. Where does it say untap draws? Taps forest, puts green in your taps, puts Masticore, moves forest from play to hand. Okay, so I didn't cast a land. I mean, I didn't play a land. All right, so now I'm playing a land. I'm doing the Wooded Foothills, paying 1 life to bring that that mountain out. And it auto shuffles once you click X, unless I think you can click a box to not do that, but automatically will do that. All right, so I can just tapping here, I can get 4 mana, 5, 6. I can do the Masticore tap ability to target creature. So 3 damage, let's say. It's only been like the 3rd turn, right? So probably nothing all that big. So 3 damage to something or to several things. All right. So, okay, it's working out. And I do like that Masticore. Honestly, that other deck could have that Masticore in the main deck also. I feel like I was getting more mana from that other one than this one. But it could just be luck, right? Because it's sharing the same cards. Okay, once again, this will give me a strong idea of what I want, but I'm still going to play around with things and still I haven't made an ultimate decision, right? This is not to make ultimate decisions like, okay, definitely want this one. No, it's to give me an idea and I just take it from there. All right, so now I can cast this Tangle Wire to, so fading 4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player taps an untapped artifact, creature, or land he or she controls for each fade counter untangled. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player's taps. Okay. Why wouldn't you want this Winter Orb instead of Tangle Wire? Winter Orb is a stronger lock. Fading eventually. First of all, fading will eventually, the card will die. But also eventually, the card will die. And it becomes less effective with each turn. Because you tap based off how many fading counters were on it. The only thing I can see is that it wants to tap their creatures. And then since you can just find other ways to untap your stuff anyway, at the beginning of each place, okay, that player taps an untap artifact, creature, or land. So they could just tap their lands and other creatures. Okay, I can see. I guess I can see it. And it affects them first, right? When you cast them. Yeah, but I mean, here, let's see. Tap 4 mana. I didn't bring a land out, so I'm going to tap 5 mana. I untap it. 4. That's 9, 10, 11, 12 mana. 13. That's 14 mana. I can destroy something that's 7/7. That's ridiculous. Right? I can do 7 damage to creatures, like probably most likely wipe their board by this point. Or like 3 here and still do like 4 damage. Okay. So let's say just for 6 here. 6 counters, 4 each turn they get. All right, so I cast this, and then with the rest of mine, I wipe their board or whatever. If I clear it off enough, I'll attack with the Masticore, or I'll keep 2 mana open to regenerate it. All right, so that's pretty good. So the other deck would have worked similar, right? Because I didn't get a Tangle Wire in the other deck, but it had it. All right. All right, next turn. All right. So I got to see more of these red cards because that's the main difference between those two. And of course, we haven't gotten Survival of the Fittest yet, and we haven't gotten Gaia's Cradle yet. So I barely got any. Well, that first game I did. I got the Squee, I got the Masticore, I got the other thing, Anger. But it was just such a slow start anyway. It was not a good representation of this deck, I don't feel. All right, so I got 2 Woodfield Hills. I have to get a forest. But since I have 2 of them, that's okay. With the other one, I can get that mountain I need. Okay, look at this. No 1 mana casting cost. So that's, once again, a slow start. Here, I feel like I have to get out that mountain because it's going to be extremely unlikely for me to get it otherwise. All right, so I would then tap to gain 1 life. That's not really much of an effect. Priest. All right, assuming it's alive next turn. So I can only do 1 mana. I can cast this, I guess. So what does the Granger do? Land card and put that land into play tapped. Okay, so that's pretty good. But it costs 3 mana though. Well, I can cast it 3, bring it out. Or I can cast 2. I have 2, but not 3. All right, so I can either do one or the other, not both in this case. I guess I need more land, so 2, 3, Granger, and then bring another mountain. All right. Next turn. And took a Vigilante. Okay. I'm liking the first one. I'm liking the first deck a lot more than this one. Where did it start? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But once again, I still haven't gotten the Survival of the Fittest. I haven't gotten the Gaia's Cradle. I want to see how degenerate this deck can get with those cards. All right. No more mana here. So I can do the Ranger. I think that's the call to make. Tap, tap, Ranger. So this is the second turn. Untap, play it again, tap it again. Makes me draw. Untap. Upkeep, do I want to keep it? I guess, let me keep it. Draw. Okay. So once again, I didn't play a land, so I can bring it up and play it. Unless I have something better. I need to play that Masticore though, so I can start discarding these things. If I let it die, I would have had those 2 mana. So maybe in hindsight, right? Because like I said, I'm learning. I should have kept that mana open, right? So I let it die. Either way, I got the draw out of it anyway. Right, next turn, right? I'm already in the next turn 2. Return the card, tap it 3, tap this new 1, 4. Gives me the Masticore. Untap, draw. Oh, upkeep, I discard the Anger. Beautiful. So now all my stuff has haste. That's very handy. So Acolyte. So by now I do want to bring out the Tangle Wire because it's going to disrupt the opponent first. It won't really affect me too much. Ah. So yeah, we'll definitely. So when you bring it out, it has 4 counters. So the opponent taps 4 things during their upkeep. During my upkeep, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, during my upkeep, I remove a counter. So I can remove a counter first, which drops it down to 3, and then makes me tap 3 things. So it always affects me after I already took out a counter. So the opponent gets pinged by it more stronger than me. All right, so what did I do? Okay, last turn I said I dropped the untaps draws. Okay, I put anger into push anger, taps forest, untaps forest, tap forest. Okay, I'm doing something with the forest, but I didn't do anything yet. All right. So master card discarded the anger. Okay, I believe I was gonna cast the elf unless I do something else. 1, 2. Okay, let me first just get mana. 1, 2. Return the thing, untap it. 3. Play the force again. 4. I have 4 mana. I can use one of that mana to cast the elf. So I have 3 mana, but then I can tap it again to get 4 mana because it has haste. All right, so I still have 4 mana. I can use the ranger again. I bring out the tangle. Right, or maybe if the opponent had something I wanted to destroy, I would have destroyed that instead. Right, but for now, the tangle wire, if it's convenient for me, if it benefits me, I attack. If not, I just stay in defense. All right, so 4 counters. Next turn, untap, upkeep. I remove a counter, but I have 3 counters. I have to tap 3 things. I will most likely tap a land, the Master Core, and the Queen Ranger. Because the Queen Ranger, I can still use this ability whether it's tapped or not. Doesn't matter. All right. Ooh, I needed to discard, so I discard the Squee Goblin. I'm gonna get it back and then discard it. So now I have the engine for the Master Core, where it won't affect the discard won't affect me. All right, and now I just got the Titania song. That's pretty important. So 1, 2. Priest of Titania, not Titania song, Priest of Titania. So it can give me 4 mana, right? Because it has haste. So I get 4 mana. I use 2 for that. I draw. Ooh, I guess a rebel. So let's see. Discard a creature card. Search your library for a creature card. Reveal the card and put it into your hand. Then show. Discard a creature card. So I still have 2 mana. Drop the Survival of the Fittest. Queen Ranger. Return a forest. I untap my priest. I drop the forest again. Oh no, I think I already did it. Okay. I'm gonna assume I did. I think I already did. All right. So I didn't get any abilities. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't use this ability though. I just from tapping and untapping. So Titanius, I can then tap. I have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I just use one of it to pitch this. View library. So what would I get? So I said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 4 mana. View library. So something for 5 mana, of course. I'm just short of getting the Deranged Hermit. I can cast that. So that's handy there. So I can do the Nantuko. If there was an enchantment I need to destroy or an artifact, so I see why just one of is there because it works nice with Survival of the Fittest. And actually Survival of the Fittest works nice with Squee. I see that now. Because every turn I can return it to my hand. And it's a creature card, which I can then pitch to Survival of the Fittest. So that's another combo I just noticed. All right, so that looks handy. Honestly, everything is small. So the best thing it would be just to probably get the Deranged Hermit, but I can't cast it. So let's say next turn. On tap, I gotta tap 2 things. 1, 2, right? Tangle Wire. All right, so I saw this in play. I'm seeing the Tangle Wire. I see the Masticore in play. This, my mistake. Oh no, well actually yeah, the Squee I would have gotten and put back in play. So for the Masticore, and now I just drew. So I have one, but I drew this. I didn't draw a creature, right? So that's then I couldn't use it for survival. All right, but either way, I couldn't have because I wanted to keep the Deranged Hermit in my hand. All right. So, and then let's see if there's other things I can do. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I still get 5 mana. 5 mana. That's exactly how much I can get for the Deranged Hermit. So it gives me 4/1/1 squirrel tokens. But there are 2/2s with the Deranged Hermit in play, but they also have haste. So I can immediately attack. I'm tapped out of mana. But of course now I can untap. So 2 mana. Bring this up to my hand. Drop it. Untap this. 3. So I had 2. Now I get 6 mana. So I have 8 mana. 9, I guess, if I need to do something. I don't think I need to. Yeah, I can't do Survival of the Fittest anymore. So, but it's still, so 8 mana. So I can do 4 damage to opponent's creatures. That will clear the board. May not clear, but it definitely will affect things. And of course, I can do this while I am attacking, then attack with the tokens. And then after defense is chosen or whatever, then I see, what's best. So it depends, on the situation. If I want to already clear the board before I attack, I can start pinging them first. But if they have bigger creatures, then that means I want them to be blocked, and then I ping them, and I can do the extra damage needed to kill some of those, right? And then maybe I just hold the Masticore up and only attack with the squirrel tokens. If they go unblocked, that's 8 damage, so the opponent probably has to block. All right, so I see this version. Honestly, I like the first version better, which would behoove me because it's a lot cheaper. Because like I said, even with the gold bordered cards, this version of the deck is $1,000. Right, so it's not out of, I spent way more than that in old school already. Or it could be a transitional. You can go for the first version and then get those final components once you're willing to change it to this version. But like I was saying, I really like that first version. If anything, for the other version, I would then. Okay, so let me keep this here, duplicate tab. All right, so we saw the prices already. We already know about that. So what I'm looking at here, comparing the cheap $300, $400 version to this one. All right, so this one had the Masticore, 2 Masticores in the sideboard. I really like the having at least one in the main deck. Although I see why it's in the sideboard though, because this one has Living Wish. So I do like that Living Wish idea also, right? Because that way, Living Wish will be helpful. Let's see, does this one? So it has the Kamau in the sideboard. All right, no Genesis at the beginning of your upkeep. If Genesis engage, you may pay. Okay, so I see. So during the upkeep, beginning of the upkeep, I can pay that mana to get a creature card from the graveyard to my hand, and then that basically becomes the engine to the Masticore. Living Wish is a sorcerer, so I cannot do this as a. So that Color of the Claw. So I guess what Color of the Claw is good for is if you do a big attack, but since your creatures are weenies, most of them are probably gonna die. Right, but maybe you get a little damage through, right? But you clear off, like you're trading. The opponent's losing some, you're losing some, and then that's when the Color of Then you can Living Wish for the caller, cast it on that same turn because that's just 5 mana. You can definitely do that. And then you're going to get tokens for each creature that died, right? So I do see that's Call of the Claw in the sideboards. So I can see why with the Living Wish it'd be okay to have, because if you draw it in your opening hand, you're gonna want to use that hand, right? Or else you just drew that for nothing if you're not gonna play it. But without like this one doesn't automatically have the engine of getting a card back from your hand. Although the Squee Goblin Nabob, that card is like you can put it in this deck because you don't cast that card anyway. You don't need to splash red for it because you don't intend to play it. I guess similarly with Anger, although that one is trickier because because a way to get it into your graveyard will be by casting it and getting it killed, right? As it goes opposed to Goblin Nabob, if it goes to the graveyard, it just comes up to your hand, but you don't want that card you never want to even cast to begin with, right? It's just a horrible card. You only want it for the effect of it being in your hand and being able to be discarded. So then that one has less options of how you can discard it because you never want to play it anywhere. But the Anger, you could want to play it, perhaps, and then it could kill itself that way. Okay. But yeah, in general, I really liked this version better. But you can definitely, right? So this has 13 lands, right? So it took out the $1,000 out cheaper because it didn't have the Gaia's Kratos, right? Even at the gold border, right? That's still $1,000 basically. It didn't have the Survival of the Fittest. That would have added what, $200, I believe. How much? Or 120, something like that. Well, whatever, right? It has that biorhythm instead, which I kind of liked. No, I like this version. Of course, when I go back here, this deck made top 8. Everything else from top 8 to top 4, second, first place is red green. So the standard is red green, right? So mono green is not the standard. This guy is actually an outlier. But I really like that. I think it's, but once again, right? It's maybe I'm just not seeing something, or maybe I gotta just try another one of these versions, right? Which I'm not gonna do in this video, but I will look at other versions just to see if there's maybe a slightly different thing I could do that'll make me like this red green version more, because as we're seeing, that's the standard, right? Top tier elves is red green, not mono green. But me personally, I really like that mono green one better. But I'm sure, I need to practice with the red green version more. And even, even for the other two decks that I already saw, Stasis and Elves, no, Stasis and Goblins, I just looked at the deck lists, right? Just like I did right now. But I ended up doing a little hybrid of both of them anyway, to tailor it to the way, to what I think fits me, right? Fits the way I think, fits what I like, how I like to play. So I'm sure I'll kind of like do a bit of a in-between version where I'll take out the yeah, I don't know. I don't really like that that artifact too much. The Tangle Wire, I'm like, I would just go Winter Orb. So there must be something I'm not seeing, right? Or there's just, of course, right? Depends on the meta, right? There must be something. It's just made more important to tap creatures than it is to tap lands. At least, they're both important, but it's more important probably to tap those creatures, right? So, I'm just, must be missing something, right? And it's maybe just, I'm sure it's because of my ignorance in the format, right? I'm still very new. I haven't even bought any cards other than the cards I already own from 20 somewhat years ago. So I'm sure I'm missing stuff, right? I'm missing more context, more information. But I'll try it out more. Definitely I like this more in general than the goblins. And honestly, I may even like it better than the stasis deck. The stasis deck, I really like that one. But definitely I felt a lot of times I was just waiting around. Or being reactive, right? Waiting for the opponent to cast something, and then it's more you hold off. But that's traditionally blue, right? That's how blue works. So this one is more of a puzzle, right? I'm always making sure I got the right mana, I gotta play the right cards at the right time, so to maximize their abilities, their untap abilities. So it's more active, more things to do, and I really like that. So honestly, those two are so far what I'm thinking of playing in between Elves or Stasis, and maybe Elves is actually beating it. I really like, especially like I said, that mono green deck. But I'll study the red green more, right? There's so many other versions, right? So maybe it's tinkering here and there with other versions. I'll understand more why those red greens are stronger, right? And plus watching videos, right? This is just me play testing with the cards, but another awesome way to learn is probably even better way to learn is just watch videos, watch people who are in tournaments and they play this, and they're confident enough to play this in tournaments and go, top 8, top 4, maybe even win. Watch them play, right? Then you can really understand more. Like that's what I did for the goblins deck. I was looking at it, and what I saw was really solid. Also for the elves, actually, I saw mono, but that version I saw a mono green version, right? So that's why I was surprised that this splashes red. I saw a mono green version, but mono green version had the Survival of the Fittest and the Gaia's Cradle, right? So it was still very expensive. Just didn't splash the red for those haste things. But I can see why it would splash it, right? Because its haste is very strong. Basically, you can surprise your opponent and win the game right there during your turn, as opposed to casting a lot of things, but then waiting until next turn because your creatures have summoning sickness. All right, so this is not the end all be all. This is just the beginning. Gives me a strong indicator of how the deck works, the important cards in the deck. But definitely will be checking other decks in mtgdecks.net and watching more videos too, for me to learn more, how the pros play the deck, what they search for whenever they need to search for things, what order they play cards in, what combos off with things, right? So I know as I was playing around, I noticed more combos appearing, right? So I'm sure there's even more combos that I just didn't bring out those cards that comboed off each other, or maybe I just didn't see the combo because I literally just learned about it right now, right, in this video. So we'll see how it goes. But I really like it. Strong. First impressions is very strong. I really like, especially like I said, I will probably then maybe search around also for a mono green version that included the Survival of the Fittest and Gaia's Cradle. Like I said, that's what I already saw in videos. So that would be then a combination of the two, between the mono green one that I liked, but then still having those strong Gaia's Cradle, Survival of the Fittest that were in red green. I'm sure there's a version that has those, but it's just still only mono green, right? So, all right. So still a lot more to learn, but I really like this. So far, I think this has overtaken the Stasis deck. And I do like that I can grow into it, right? So I can start with the cheap version, which I already liked. And then as I see myself able to put in the commitment to spend more, I can add in the Survival of the Fittest. I can add in the Gaia's Cradles as I want to transition it into a more potent deck, right? So, right, or if not, if I'm content with just the version without those other expensive cards, I could just keep it at that as well, right? But definitely like it. Now it's just time for more research, more video watching, and then I'll see how I can further develop my understanding of this deck so I can strongly to see if I strongly still consider it for me to actually buy the cards and use it for when I actually decide to officially join Premodern by buying the cards and creating a deck and actually making myself available to play in person and online. All right, so I'll leave the video up to here. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys, along with me, we're learning along with just not elves, but just Premodern in general. Thank you for watching.